very intelligent, very smart, and know all that you do. But it will be difficult for people to care how much you know until they know you care. And for me, that is the crux of what we're going to discuss today. See, let's come to Ghana because I believe most of us are Ghanaians. And when you look at our country, some of us, when we were growing up, we learned something which is very powerful. It may seem small, but it was very powerful. In that you can't just go into somebody's house and the moment you go, you start asking questions. You start behaving as if you stay there. First, we know. In fact, in our local culture, you have to even knock. We say I go. Someone will have to agree and say, okay, you are welcome or you can enter. When you go, you greet before they will even give opportunity for you to sit. Then you start building rapport. Even if what you're going to discuss with them so urgent, you don't go straight away talking about the issue. You go, there's some formalities. I mean, they are not recorded, they are not written down. We all know when we're growing up, we realize these things. You need to establish those kind of things before you can go ahead and present why you have entered that house. The question is this: why is it that most of the times, as auditors, we seem to skip this very important cultural lesson? Because at times you just go ahead and say, give me your files. Then you go ahead straight to business. Or even if it's not, we know we will have meetings and stuff, but they may not be as we have been learned, may have been taught from our culture. The truth is this: if we want our stakeholders to be open, if we want them to be open, to be cooperative, and trust our advice, we must earn their respect through authentic, ongoing engagement. And that's what we intend to do today. Now, we realize that in our context, when you talk about the Ghanaian context, family goes beyond bloodlines. Because at times you may have to go ahead and ask, is he your biological brother? Because just a normal friend, a neighbor, somebody from our hometown can be called a brother or a sister. Because we value relationships so much. Relationships form the bedrock of every meaningful interaction we have in Ghana, from our homes to communities to workplaces, and even on social media. We even relate as if we are brothers and sisters. And that's how it is. The truth is, in some organizations in Ghana, they call themselves as a family. And we need to appreciate this alongside the work we do. What's the implication? The implication is that, one, the implication for this is that we need to appreciate that trust. We need to appreciate that trust, respect, shared responsibilities, and mutual support are expected as default behaviors. So because of this background, as Ghanaians, people expect that whatever work you do, trust, respect, shared responsibilities, and mutual support are expected as default behaviors. In other words, you can't even compromise on that because that's how we have been trained. Now, what does it mean to the internal auditor? What does this mean into the internal auditor? What we can do is to tap into this cultural framework or this cultural background to give us a powerful foundation to build lasting, respectful, and strategic relationships with our stakeholders. That's what we can glean from this. Now, why does this matter? Why is this so important to us? Now, we are aware that effective 9th January 2025, internal auditors have new global internal audit standards, which will guide the profession. Now, we learned from this that the role of internal auditors has evolved. We've moved from compliance to value creation. We have moved from watchdogs to strategic partners in trusted advisors. That's why this one matters. Now, specifically, when you go into the standards, among the 15 principles in the standard, when you look at standard 11.1, it talks about building relationships and communicating with stakeholders. That's what it talks about. Now, let me just give some few quotes in that to be able to appreciate why this presentation is important. Now, it says the chief audit executive must develop an approach for the internal audit function to build relationships and trust with key stakeholders. So the standard expects that the chief audit executive will develop an approach for the internal audit function to build relationships and trust with key stakeholders. Another requirement, it also mentions, I quote, the chief audit executive must promote formal and informal communication between the internal audit function and stakeholders. So the communication that the standard is advising is not just formal. Informal communication also plays a role. What do we intend to achieve? By the end of the presentation, we want to discuss tips to initiate, build, and maintain win-win relationships with stakeholders to become their trusted advisors, which is very important in the kind of work that we have chosen to do. Now, one quote that gives light to this very important goal we want to achieve is still from the standard. It says, communication should include opportunities for ongoing informal interaction between internal auditors and the organization's employees. It mentions that when informal interactions occur consistently, employees gain trust in internal auditors, which is very important. The kind of work internal auditors do, trust is so important. Then it increases the likelihood. I don't know if you can hear me. Please, can you hear me?
I think someone mentioned in the chat area that you should increase your voice a little bit.
Okay. Is it any better now, please?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the feedback. So it mentions that when we do that, it increases the likelihood of candid discussions that may not happen or occur in formal meetings. So that's why this is important. Now, let's look at this. The analogy. This requirement for internal auditors to build relationships with stakeholders is analogous to a salesperson trying to sell to a new client. I don't know if any of us has sold something before. You realize that you need to build a relationship with whoever you intend to sell to. And that's the analogy we want to create with the requirement for us to build relationship with stakeholders. In other words, now internal auditors must learn the art of selling. That's what we intend to do. Now look at this. Just imagine trying to sell something to a person you've never met. No phone calls, no introductions, just a request for their money. And you make it look so much like you want to take their money. The truth is, this will not work. And that is what internal audit can feel like when we show up with checklists and risk registers and no relationship. Of course, they may allow you to ask your questions. They may give you the answers that you want to hear. But the truth is, the objectives that you intend to achieve, you may not accurately achieve them because you have not formed relationship. And we are human beings. We are bonded, or we respond so much to relationship. Now, so that's what we intend to do. Now, we need to appreciate that in today's world, auditing isn't just about testing controls, but it's about earning trust. And trust is built, it is not demanded. As I mentioned, they can actually tell you what you want to know. They can give you whatever books you're asking or whatever things you want to take on your checklist. But at the end of the day, the objectives that you intend to achieve may not be achieved because you didn't build a relationship with them. Now, let's discuss this. How do we win a client over? In other words, how do you get your client to appreciate your work, to cooperate, and to be able to achieve the purpose for which you have gone there to do the work, or why you are doing the work you are doing? Number one, you need to understand your key stakeholders. That's the first point I want to bring on board. So just as a salesperson studies a prospect, auditors must study stakeholders. You know, in the profession that I practice as an insurance broker, one thing I need to do is to understand the business of the client I intend to advise, or I intend to help them to navigate their way on the insurance market. So you need to study their work, know their activities, because you can go and sit before a client and ask you, okay, so this is what I do. What can you do for me? What solutions do you have? If I don't understand what he's doing, how do I go ahead and execute the reason why I'm there? So you need to understand their roles, those stakeholders, which we are going to see so soon. I'm sure you know, but just for the purposes of this presentation, I'll quickly take us through some stakeholders that the standard mentions. So we need to know their roles. You need to know their interests. You need to know their concerns. Some of them may not be according to book. That's why you need to build relationships to understand their roles, to understand their interests, concerns, and their KPIs. Number two, understanding your key stakeholders, you need to understand pressures they face. You see, you need to understand the pressures they face, stakeholders. If you appreciate the work they are doing, understand the pressures, it will help you to even know, okay, so what style do I adopt at this place? Then you need to read prior reports. If there are reports available, you need to read department performance and performance data and the rest. You need to get to know them to help you to be able to plan and execute your work effectively. So these are some of the key stakeholders that the standard mentions. The board, of course, will be a major key stakeholder. Senior management, of course, you need to understand their role, understand the pressures on them, understand the expectations, the KPIs that have been set for them. Then we have the operational management, all those who help the operations of the company. You need to build a relationship with them. Regulators, especially in highly regulated environments. Like, for example, if you're doing this for an insurance space, in an insurance space, you need to have relationship with regulators. You need to have relationship with internal and external assurance providers, from IT to whoever support them in terms of assurance or help them in the operations. You need to have even other consultants. These are some of the key stakeholders that you need to be mindful of. Number two, if you want to win a client over, is to make a strong first impression. Is to make a strong first impression. That is something we say always. What does it mean? Number one, even our dressing. You need to dress professionally and be punctual. It tells a lot about you. It tells a lot about you. I mean, we know we are in an era where now, well, I mean, people believe that it is what is in my mind, the work I can do, what I wear doesn't really matter. But I can tell you, dressing is very important. You need to look professional for the person to trust you to even give you the information or whatever thing that you need to be able to do your work. And punctuality. We are living in a city where traffic is a major problem. That is why, if you know, okay, ordinarily I should be taking 1 hour to get to this office, you make it 2 or 3, because you don't want to give the wrong impression about yourself. Like, you're not serious yourself. Why should they take you seriously if you're not? Number two, you need to demonstrate competence and humility. I mean, when I come through the news the new standards, the new standard, you realize that competence is very important, because as a professional, you need to demonstrate your competence. You know what you are doing. Number three, even the kind of questions you're asking, the questions must be thoughtful. There must be questions that are okay. Well, I mean, this guy is deep. This young woman is deep. She knows what she's about. Another thing you need to know that will help you and that to make a strong first impression is you need to mirror stakeholder tone and energy appropriately. In this one, you can do this when you have done well on point one. If you understand the people, the stakeholders, you know what they are doing, you appreciate the work they do, the pressure on them, you appreciate their KPIs, your tone, your energy will mirror what they also have. So that's the second thing you need to do. You have to make a strong first impression. Number three, you need to build rapport. We can't overemphasize this point. See, you need to practice active listening. In case you didn't get what the person said, there's nothing wrong. It doesn't mean you're not intelligent. It doesn't mean there's nothing embarrassing. So, can you please confirm what I heard? Did I hear you say so and so? Confirm, because you use that one also to build rapport. Number two, find common ground. It is much easier when in doing your work, you find something to even initiate conversations. And that helps you to build rapport. So if the person, for example, is a former colleague or something like that, the person attended the same school you attended, you can start from there. Industry trends, once you know their industry, you appreciate what is happening there. Recent event. Just that the question is this: avoid sensitive subjects. We talk about the don't, but for a sensitive subject, we don't go there and we're going to talk about the fact that you believe in God Almighty, the person is atheist, so the person is going to hell. That will not help the work we are going to do. Number three, under the building rapport, is be visible and engage beyond audit periods, which we'll be discussing soon. You need to be visible. It's a way of building rapport. So anytime that you are around, it's not just because you're coming to ask for files, you're coming to ask for data, you're coming to ask for information. But there may be other things which are not necessarily audit, but it is also a way of building rapport. Number four, this is another important point. You need to deliver value early. What do we mean? It means you need to share relevant insights outside of the scope. And you realize that as part of your duty as an internal auditor, you are adding value to the company or the client. So you can share relevant insight outside of the scope, things that they themselves may not be aware. That you have chanced on information, something that will help their work to go. So you need to do that. Another thing is that you offer solutions, not just identify problems. Traditionally, the work of an auditor looks like somebody who's just coming to identify problems. It's like the person is a CID, just trying to, okay, people have not done this. Okay, this was supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. You didn't do this. You didn't do it. So you need to offer solutions, not just identify problems. That will be delivering value. Then again, you have to be a source of clarity and simplicity. If things are complex, things don't really make sense, and there are better ways of clarifying things and simplifying them, you have to do that. See, example that I can give is helping a process owner fix a data integrity issue even before the audit report is even issued. If you realize that there's a challenge with how data is even protected, maybe they're flouting some rules that can be very, very costly. You deliver value early by helping them to fix it. Number five, how do you win the client over? Be consistent and reliable. And this is another point that is very, very important. Be consistent and reliable. You see, under this, the first thing I want to mention is that keep promises. Because the work that internal auditors do depends so much on trust and integrity. So if you tell them, okay, I'll get back to you by Monday, please, by Monday, get back to them. If there's a reason why it is practically impossible to get back to them on Monday, at least send a note, send a message, or something to show that, okay, well, I promise I could get back to you on Monday, but because of ABCD, I cannot make it. So be consistent in doing that. When you do that, you become reliable. The clients, the stakeholders say, okay, when this gentleman or this young woman says this, she means it and she'll do so. Again, follow up on discussions. So when you discuss something, okay, maybe somebody's supposed to send you a data or supposed to send you some document or discuss something that the two of you will do. Okay, there will be a follow-up meeting. Follow up. It is part of being consistent and reliable. That will help you to win the client over. And winning the heart of people is not a joke. Number 3, maintain confidentiality. I mean, and that one, as professionals, I don't have to even explain this. This one is expected of every professional. You need to maintain confidentiality. One point I want you to remember, not to forget, especially on this slide, we need to appreciate that trust is built in drops, and we lose them, and we lose it in buckets. Trust is built in drops and lost in buckets. It takes a long time to build trust with a client or with a stakeholder or with anybody. I mean, generally, but you can lose it with the slightest a mistake or something that or indiscretion. Now I want to talk about trust. There are 3 pillars of trust for a trusted relationship. One is credibility, and the issues that we have discussed should help you to build credibility. You are reliable, you are consistent. They appreciate what you're doing, so it makes you credible. They have the managing director or CEO who is a stakeholder or a key stakeholder, be willing to support you with whatever thing you need to be able to make your work smooth. It should be reliable. We have mentioned already. And the intimacy here, we are talking about close relationship. So these are the 3 pillars of a trusted relationship. Now, let's see some practical steps or tips to initiate the relationship. Some practical tips to initiate the relationship. The relationship that the standard is asking us to build with our stakeholders. How do we do this? Number 1, learn their language. When I say learn their language, I'm not talking about lingua franca or mother tongue or language as in language, but learn how they do their things. That's why the first point that we mentioned, understanding the stakeholder will help. Know know what they are used to, their activities, know even their balance. Appreciate the things which are unique to their activities or the kind of work they do. Number 2, attend on audit meetings. I mean, as practicable as possible. Attend them and be able to get the insight that you need to do your work. Number 3, ask open-ended questions. And the reason to ask open-ended questions, it helps you to get broader view on things. If you ask close-ended questions, you will get yes and no answers. And that may not help you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So ask open-ended questions. And the last one is that show interest in their KPIs, not just controls. What are their key performance indicators? What are the things that, will show that they are meeting what they want to meet? Be interested. It will help you. It will guide you. Because one thing I believe is that, we shouldn't sew one jacket for all people. That's impossible. Practically, we know all of us cannot wear the same size. And as much as we want to maintain, okay, it is coats that everybody must wear, but all of us cannot fit into the same coat because we have been built differently, different sizes, different body sizes. So ensure that you show interest in the KPIs, not just controls. Now, from initiating the relationship, how do we nurture the relationship? Number 1, let's learn as internal auditors to celebrate small wins together. Maybe if you're able to, we're supposed to do this, they've been able to do it. Or, okay, they were able to, there are some ticks you are making. Okay, you've been able to put this system in place. Okay, celebrate with them. And beyond even the work itself, when you identify that a client, there's something happening, they are celebrating their 25th anniversary, especially when they invite you, or maybe if it's a public thing, be there, show that, you are there. Anything that concerns them, be part of it. Celebrate with them. Number 2, share articles or industry news relevant to them, which I mentioned. That's articles or industry news which are relevant to them, you must share. It's a way of nurturing a relationship. It's a way of creating that intimacy we mentioned. That will be part of, that becomes the pillars of a trusted relationship. You have to do that. Number 3, follow up on commitment and promises. You see, let the client appreciate that when you make a promise or you make a commitment, you have integrity enough to be able to keep the promise committed. When it becomes impossible, practically impossible, I mean, there are always ways that you can communicate instead of leaving it. You need to do that. Number 4, address issues and conflict promptly. You can address them, but the catch word is that, the catch word is that it should be promptly done. When there are issues, when there are conflicts, when there are misunderstandings, when things are not as all of us must agree on, you need to find solution immediately or promptly. Then finally, you need to continuously seek feedback. You need to continuously seek feedback and improve. That's very important. One thing that I can easily mention in my organization is that periodically we send service out to our client to find out, to assess us. What are the things that we are not doing right? What are the things we can do to improve your experience with us? And I can tell you, it's very helpful. It's been very helpful. So always don't feel bad. At times people avoid this because somebody may say something which may hurt you. But other than that, how do you grow? So we need to continuously seek feedback and improve. You see, we need to do that. Now let's proceed and now discuss how do you manage difficult conversations? Because the kind of work you do, there'll be time where there'll be very difficult conversations, but as a professional, you need to manage these difficult conversations. Number 1, focus on fact and impact, not blame. Focus on fact and impact. What are the issues? What will be the consequence of the issues? And not necessarily to apportion blame. Number 2, practice emotional intelligence. I'm sure with this topic of emotional intelligence is almost everywhere. We all appreciate what it means. Emotional intelligence, very important. Not long ago, I was having a conversation with a colleague, and I was telling him, we need to find a way of balancing our emotions, especially. We are humans. Emotions cannot be taken out of us. But the intelligence, how we're able to manage our emotions vis-a-vis what is expected of us is so much important. Then use what we call the SBI model. What is that? We are talking about situation. Look at the situation. You look at the behavior, then the impact of what the situation is. So use these things to be able to manage difficult conversations. Now, what are some of the common challenges that we face as internal auditors? What are some of the common challenges? The truth is, some people believe that internal auditors don't trust them. That's why you'll be asking so many questions. You'll be asking for those documents. You'll be asking this. How do you handle this? 1, you need to build from small engagement. So some of the things that we've discussed, if we start doing them, we will see some changes in how people think us, how people think about us, how people perceive us. So we need to build from small engagement. Another thing that people may say, okay, people actually think that auditors are a watchdog. And you realize that the new standard living is helping us to see the kind of work we do as internal auditors as value. We should be seen as value partners. And that is how things are supposed to be evolving, so that tag will go. Of course, people believe that after coming to do whatever you want to do, you'll not be seen again, or after getting whatever information you need, whatever you need to be able to do your work. We need to be visible in their space. We need to be visible in their space. We need to be visible in their space. What are the tips to avoid? The things not to do in building relationships, managing and building relationships with our key stakeholders? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to avoid? Number 1 thing you need to avoid is just focusing on transactions. Just focusing on transactions. We need to avoid it. It doesn't help. It takes away the human element. It takes away the ability to be able to get exactly what we want to do and see ourselves as value partners. I mean, we look like it's just about the work and nothing else. We need to avoid that. Number two, poor communication. We need to avoid poor communication habits. We got to avoid it. Why? We need to be flexible and know the mode of communication the client prefers. I mean, that's one thing in my organization is a difficult thing because we conducted um, client survey feedback to get their feedback. And me personally, I really like modern way of communication, the digital things. I really like digital things. But we realized that amazingly, some of our clients, if I remember, about 25% or so, actually prefer face-to-face interactions. They don't like virtual meetings. It was from that survey that we learned that. So one thing we need to avoid is poor communication habit. We need to learn how to be flexible. I know the mode of communication that's our client or our stakeholder prefers. Is it face to face? Is it by email? Is it even WhatsApp, where we can find a way of still be able to present evidence in case evidence is needed somewhere? Or is it virtual meeting? We need to find out so that we do not make this error. Because if there's somebody who doesn't like face to face, maybe a virtual meeting will do. Or other means, email should be okay. He will give you everything you need, whatever document the person prefers to send by email. You must learn how to avoid this mistake. Number three, one thing we need to avoid is neglecting relationship maintenance. And I think I've mentioned from the beginning up to the end, up to this point, that we need to maintain the relationship that we are creating. And that is an ongoing thing. And the standard mentions it. I think I read a quote from the standard mentioned that there should be an ongoing engagement. It shouldn't end once whatever you're doing is ended. Once in a while, you check in. Once in a while, you find out how things are going. Once in a while, whatever, maybe something came up. Okay, now we found a solution. We present. So that's one thing. Don't neglect it. Number four, this is an important point I don't want us to miss. One error you need to avoid is ignoring cultural differences. Things have changed. And the truth is we cannot impose what we think or we know on other people. The truth is this: 90% of our success at building relationships be based on getting this important fact right. For example, you'll be surprised to know that some people don't like some colors. Some people don't like some, and others do. Let me just give a typical example of myself. So, I remember after national service, my first job interview I attended. So what I didn't even know even the MD loved the color of the company like that. So it was just the company color. I decided to go out to go and buy a flying tie that matches the color of the company. The moment I entered, the moment I entered, the MD said, "Wow, you have really touched my heart with the tie that you're wearing." Just like that. The point I want to make is that if we want to build strong relationships with our stakeholders, we must be intentional. We must be intentional to know what they like, things that will appeal to them. Even as I mentioned, even dress, something as simple as dressing. Again, we need to appreciate, even especially when we are dealing with people of different cultural backgrounds, in terms of even religious backgrounds. For example, if you're dealing with a Japanese client in Ghana, normally, okay, everybody we meet, we want to greet. Even the males normally want to even give shoulder to shoulder. Some want to even hug females and stuff. But when you're dealing with a Japanese client, you don't go about and just stretch your hand to greet the person. They prefer bowing. See, when the Japanese handles their business card to you, business card is so important. It's almost like a gold mine to them. That when they're giving Japanese clients is giving a business card to you, you don't just take it and put it somewhere. You take it with your two hands and show some respect. Because when you do that, you are building a relationship. The person, okay, you know what you are doing. And other things, we need to appreciate cultural differences and ensure that in order to build this kind of relationship with our key stakeholders, we do not ignore their cultural differences. And we go on and on and on. So we need to do that. Number five, those are the four things I want to talk about. The fifth one is lack of authenticity. We need to be authentic. We need to be authentic. So we need to avoid the trap of not being authentic. The truth is, when it's authenticity leads to trust, and trust leads to loyalty. So we need to be authentic in how we deal with our client to be able to achieve this. Let's say this. It is time for us to be called to action. Your role as a trusted advisor starts now. As an internal auditor, what are you supposed to do? Let's build trust that transforms. It's what we intend to do going forward. And I believe that there's no better time than this time to do that. So to summarize, I want me to try to end. One. So let this one be your personal objective. Let it start small. But you have to be consistent with whatever small thing you're starting with. Begin. You see, trust takes time. You have to begin with one meaningful conversation. You need to start maybe with a call, with a WhatsApp, or something. Building relationship, it's not a project, it's a posture. It's something that takes time to build. We can actually reach out to one stakeholder this week and ask, how can I support your objectives or your goals better? That's your internal data. And that's how it starts. So make it a personal thing to do in order to comply with this standard, not just about complying, but to help you to become a better professional. Number two, be visible. I mean, I've mentioned this throughout the presentation. Join strategy meetings, offer insight, and show up consistently. It should be a personal commitment to be a different internal auditor going forward. Number three, stay curious. Stay curious. Be on top of the work you are doing. Know the client, the stakeholders, what they are doing. It will help you to be able to become a better professional. Number four, add relationship touch points to your audit plan. See, so what I mean, example of this is that after every audit cycle, you can add intentional informal check-ins before doing and even after the audit. For example, every a 15-minute pre-audit chat before the audit itself will start, or just normal conversation, what has been happening in the industry. I mean, just some normal conversation, or after the audit, you can make a call. Oh, thank you very much. You really supported me when I needed this information. You're able to provide. Thank you so much. It helps. It helps. And it's something that you can do as a professional. Number five, create what we call stakeholder map. Create what we call a stakeholder map. What do we mean by that? Identify key stakeholders. So we mentioned the board, audit committee, CEO, departmental heads, and process owners and the rest. And list how often you interact and what the expectations are. So, okay, so see, okay, normally maybe I'm able to meet him maybe once in a month or something. And what are they expected of you and what do you expect from them? So you have to do that. To conclude, going forward, our mantra should be that the most effective auditors don't just check boxes, they build bridges. So your resolution going forward, that's our humbly appeal, that you are not just there to check boxes or to meet targets or whatever things that you're supposed to do. I mean, originally as your core mandate, that you are there to build bridges. You are there to be seen as a value addition partner. And that should be what you should do. Thank you. So I will leave it to Elizabeth for the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fiifi. I've picked a lot of key nuggets from here to say that if you get a business card from a Japanese, it's like a gold mine. So you need to take it with both hands. Thank you very much for the insight shared. Colleagues on the call, it's now our time for us to ask the questions we have burning in our hearts for Fiifi to address them. So please let the questions begin to drop in the chat area. Are there questions? Questions coming through? Okay, so while we wait for the questions, I indicated at the beginning that the slides will be shared in the chat area for you to download before we leave this session. For the recording, it will be uploaded on the IIA Ghana's YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed, and then turn on your notification button, this is the right time for you to do. I've posted the links to our social media handles in the chat area for you to follow and then subscribe when needed. Okay, so other questions. So what I see in the chat area are commendations for the insightful presentation that you've shared. And it's a thank you to you. Good presentation. And the God bless you. George Oppong, could you please mute your mic for us, please? All right. There are no questions. Okay, so Fifi, thank you very much for this great opportunity to have shared your insight and knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. So the presentation slides has been shared in the chat area. Please download it for your records and refer as required. At this point in time, we will call on our Vice President to give us the closing remarks. And then also give us some announcements.
Elizabeth, I think there's a question.
Okay, so
I think there's a question now.
all right. So I've seen one question come through. So how do you manage people who do not want relationships but just to work? Okay.
Anyway, that's an interesting question. I mean, that's the truth. Elizabeth, the question is not out of place at all. There are people who naturally are just interested in work. You know, they do. I mean, there are people like that. They are not friendly naturally. I mean, checking for what? Charlie, come and do your work and go. That's what they want. But one thing I know, as humans as we are subject to change. But first of all, I just want us to appreciate that there are people like that. So it's not out of place. That people are just interested in their work. But the truth is, when you start presenting your warm attitude, your warm posture, and let the person appreciate the kind of feedback. So if the person is giving you maybe straight to the point answers and stuff, but how you even have to your response or your feedback or your reply, the person will start now opening up to you. Because the truth is, we are humans. People have a lot of issues. People have people have been hurt before in the past. People have had issues with people that they were working with and they were trying to be nice to. So people have a lot of things. But because you're a professional that you have learned how to build relationships, some of the things, the tips that we have shared will be able to help you to bring the person to now appreciate that, I mean, beyond work, we are still humans. And therefore, the person will start appreciating some of the things they do. But of course, when you see that, you don't just go and jump and force the person to be a friend or force the person to start building a relationship. No, some of these things will take time. As I mentioned, relationship building is not a project; it's a posture. It takes time. It's a process. It's not a one-time destination that we just do it. With time, the person will come. Before you realize, you will see that this person is even friendlier than you ever thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fifi. Thank you very much. That relationship building is not a project but a posture. So it may take some time. Beautiful.
Madam,
I've seen another question come through. It appears. Okay, so sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. How do we avoid this?
Yeah, you're right. See, as humans, I mean, one thing I can say, I'm not an engineer, but one of the most complex machines, if you can call it way, that I can ever find on earth will be humans. So yes, it's true. There's some people that when you become too familiar with, it can actually breed contempt. How do you avoid this? Is this? At the end of the day, the relationship that we are talking about has an objective. We are trying to build a relationship that will let us have the coordination that we need to be able to effectively do our work. So we need to appreciate that this kind of relationship you mentioned is not the normal casual relationship where, I mean, like those, I don't have to explain. Because this kind of relationship we are building has an objective. An objective is to be able to get the cooperation that you need from the stakeholders to be able to achieve your objective of being a value partner to the organization. So, as I mentioned, human beings are different. We need to find a way to know, okay, this is how this person is. If I overdo, so to speak, in quotation marks, it may breed contempt. So you find a way to balance, and there are always ways around this, and that's where emotional intelligence comes in. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. You need to find a way to balance the familiarity so that it doesn't breed contempt. The next question, it appears the question trigger has now been activated. So, what do you do to a boss who pretends not to have seen your gestures to be nice to him or her? What can you do to build your relationship with that your boss?
Another fantastic questions. I really love the questions. One thing I will mention, productivity, and I'll explain. You see, I've had this experience before. I normally try not to bring my personal stories in presentations, but at times it helps. Once it is about you, be able to relate it well and explain it well. I remember when I started work as a young underwriter, there was one leader who didn't like me. Later, I came to understand. And the reason when I say it is funny, but I will not say it. But it got to a time, I can tell you, with all due respect and in all humility and with truth, he had to confess to me that when he came, I didn't like it because he wanted somebody to come to the department, and I was brought because at the interview, according to his managers, then they told that I did better, so they believe that in such a unit I'll be the one to be in. He didn't like me. It got to a time I worked so hard to the extent that he told me that where have you been all these years? Can you imagine? Boss who was not willing to have that because everything was, in fact, even trying to train me. He didn't train me. He gave me to a senior. He as a head of the department didn't train me yet. Told the senior to be. I didn't understand, but well, I was willing to learn. And it got to a time that now we are best of friends because I delivered. Make sure that I overcame unreadiness to accept our relationship. And now we became friends. My point is that produce. Even if the person doesn't like you, produce, do your work, and ensure that your work is being done with still smiles. So don't give the person the same energy. That's what I don't give fire for fire. It turns to ashes. And at the end of the day, the work suffers. And if you're a Christian or if you're a believer, that's prayers. Prayers can change a lot of things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fifi. So, fire for fire. You don't be like Countryman Song. Don't be the person with fire. Okay, right. So, the next question has been answered in one way or the other. It had to do with the familiarity threats. So, CEO, please post the slides again in the chat area. People missed it. And then the other question I see here is how do you build relationship without compromising our independence as auditors?
Okay.
It's also
Yes.
connected to the familiarity.
I don't know if it's different from the question before. There's one question: how do we maintain relationship over time and distance? Is it the same thing? Because I think you skipped that one.
Yes. Please pick that. Pick that.
Okay. Yeah. So to address question, how do we maintain relationships over time,
Over time
distance?
and distance.
Yes. So I mean, I think I've mentioned that in nurturing relationships, I gave some pointers. The kind of things that we'll be able to do that over time, the relationship that we have built or we started, I mean, the relationship can be maintained. So I mean, maybe we can still go back and refer to those. And you see, one thing I want you to appreciate is that this thing that we are discussing, they are not the big things actually. The other relations and maintaining them, they are actually not the big things. They're small things that we do every day. And with this, I know we can maintain relationship over time and distance. The one is how do you build good relationships without compromising and creating issues, familiarity threat? That's a very good question, and of course that's a technical question. The truth is, if you check the standard 11.1, it actually mentions something like this. So the advice it gives is that in trying to ensure that informal conversations, relationships are built, the chief audit executive must once in a while even try to alternate the auditors so that they don't become familiar, so that the familiarity threat can be reduced. So if this group of people or this group of people or this person has been here for some time, in order to manage the threat, you may have to shuffle them once in a while in order to reduce. And of course, also as a professional, you know that familiarity threat is very, very common, and it's very, very real than we can even expect. You need to know how to balance your professional ethical rules against you trying to build a relationship with your client. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Fifi. The next question I see here is that I've seen people named as lenient and not fit for the job for creating rapport with auditees. Audit committee members think that the auditor should be a tyrant. What do you say to this?
Sorry, Elizabeth, since we skipped about two questions before this one.
So I noticed that it was connected to the familiarity. That's why I didn't
Okay,
bring
okay,
it
okay.
up again.
Okay, then that's fine. I think you're right. Okay, so please go ahead with this question.
So the next question is that the person is saying, I've seen people named as lenient and not fit for the job for creating rapport with their auditees or the client.
Mm.
Audit committee members think that the auditor should be a tyrant. What do you think, or what do you say to this?
In fact, you're right. I mean, my brother David, you're right. You know, I think the traditional view has been that an auditor must be a watchdog, and the dog is in capital letters. And that mindset that's causing people to think that if an auditor wants to create a rapport, which means that auditor is not fit for the job. Audit is not your talent. You are in the wrong profession, as people may say. But the truth is, we have all agreed. I'll still refer back to the standard. It's a very powerful document. When you look at it well and look at the posturing of the wording of the standard, you realize that this shift is a global thing. The shift from just compliance to become, value partner. It is real. And people need to appreciate going forward that you don't need to be a tyrant to be able to be an effective auditor. I mean, I'll just leave it as simple as that.
Thank you very much, Fifi.
I think Harriet has a question.
Okay, so can we be intentional about building good relationship no matter the situation? Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So that is, can we be intentional about building good relationship no matter the situation?
That's a very good question too. It's one thing I know as professionals we have is the ability to be able to even read the room, so to speak. Because that's for being intentional. Yes, we got to be, because we are expected as internal auditors to build a relationship. So that one, don't forget about that one. But you see, emotional intelligence comes in to know when the situation demands that this must be done. And that's what we need to we need to bring sound judgment in the work we do. So first of all, yes, I agree that we need to be intentional about building a relationship. But in the situation, at what time? What time is even good time to be able to bring in the informal conversation? When do we do the formal ones? Where do we go strictly according to the book? Or when do we become flexible and maintain a relationship at the same time, ensuring that we achieve the purpose for which we are there? Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you. What is the appropriate course of action if the boss response to your report is interpreted by staff as unjust or inappropriate, leading to a break in relationship with staff?
That's a very good question as well. See, this is a technical one actually. What is the appropriate course of action if the boss response to a report is interpreted by staff as unjust or inappropriate, leading to a break relationship with staff? You see, one thing we know. This one, let me even come to general relationship. And digress a little from the topic at stake. So when people misinterpret your action or people you have a relationship with somebody. It can be your wife, it can be a friend, it can be a church member, whatever it is. And something happens, or somebody misinterprets something you have done, and because of that, they get offended and decides to break away from you. The analogy that we created, the same thing you're doing. And I remember I mentioned that the expectation for us to build relationships with our stakeholders can be analogous to that of a salesperson. I've sold before. You see, for example, can sell to a client, or I can be the broker for a client who may be who may be offended by, maybe the person was posing a claim which was not a right claim, or the person wanted to do something like, I don't know, you can't do this one in this contract. It can affect the relationship. But how? So that's why we need to learn relationship building. And I had the opportunity. A client who almost left our company because there was something that he was doing which was wrong, and it was actually causing fire in their company. You learn people management. You learn how to, if it means letting the person have a face-to-face discussion, having to let the person appreciate why, he or she is inappropriate. And I like the fact that you mentioned that the person, is interpreting as inappropriate or unjust. He or she, the person's interpretation is what the inappropriate thing. So you have a way of mending relationship. We need to learn how to mend relationship. In the same way that we mend relationship with those our loved ones when things don't go right, we need to learn the same thing to bring into the business that we are working. We are dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last question before we move on to the next agenda item. Please, as new internal auditor in an organization, I'm faced with store and procurement officers who always have problems with me in terms of upholding internal controls because they are used to doing things their own way. How do I handle them?
Another good question. Thank you so much, Peter, for this question. Yes, this is very normal, and it happens a lot in others, especially when people are accustomed to doing something in one way for a very long time, and now you are being seen as a policeman. So you should expect it, and as a new internal data, you grow to appreciate that it is very normal. Now, what do we do? We have already mentioned that. See, you listen to what you are saying. Listen to the question. Who always have problems with me in terms of holding internal control? Now, this is where the relationship building becomes very, very essential, because you can be upholding internal control, but in a way that they may not even see through that this is what you are doing. That's the relationship we are talking about. If your relationship with them, you have built enough relationship, and don't forget about the analogy I still gave at the beginning about the salesperson. When you don't build a relationship, nobody will be interested in what you want to do. They will actually obstruct you. And it happens a lot in organizations. So my point is that start from knowing them. Even when they're doing things, which is it's not only when you are going to do the upholding the internal control that you should be there. Even off other times, during their engagement, during when they are putting things in, when they are procuring from the beginning, if they let them see you as a partner. That's the point I want to make, not as a policeman or as the judge. So when you do that, they themselves will help you to even let your work be much easier, and make your work easier, and will not think that you are there to police the work they are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fifi, for answering the questions for us. And it is why this month of May is a golden opportunity for us to engage with our clients or process owners so that they know that we don't only come and visit them when we are asking for documents or we need some information from them for our work. So thank you very much, Fifi, for the insight shared and also answering the questions that have come through. At this juncture, we'll move on to the closing remarks by our Vice President in the person of Mr. Ebenezer Kojo Marim Reko, and then also add the announcement for us as well. Thank you. Mr. Vip, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lisbeth, for the good work done. Thank you, my people, for joining us today for this webinar. We hope that you have found the session engaging, very interactive, and relevant to the kind of work we do as internal auditors or whichever profession we find ourselves. A special thank you to Fiifi for your insightful presentation. I have personally enjoyed it, and you have met my expectation. The whole IIA Ghana is very grateful to you. Colleagues, let's take note of the following. I'll start with our membership. Most of you are aware that IIA membership is open to individuals who meet our minimum eligibility criteria. However, maintaining the active membership is based upon the payment of annual subscription, and for this year is set at 750 Ghana cedis. So once your subscription is paid, IIA Ghana also remit a portion of the subscription to IIA Global, which we are affiliated to. Likewise, the African Federation of Institute of Internal Auditors, AFIA. It also gives you the opportunity to renew your membership with the Registrar of Companies in compliance with Professional Bodies Registration Act 1973. So it's important that as a member, we remit ourselves, pay our subscriptions early, so that we can operate the secretariats to the best of our ability. As a member of IIA Ghana as well, you are part of the IIA Ghana group WhatsApp that had been formed. If you are not part of the platform, please contact the secretariat for any assistance that you may require. And as a member, you also have access to the IIA resources on the IIA Global website at each point in time. I humbly request that members who have not paid their subscription, please kindly do so by June, so that you can be able to retain your good standing, because at the end of June, we normally publish members in good standing in the dailies. If you're a non-member, we're encouraging you to join us today, and we are welcoming you to do so. You may contact the Secretariat for guidance. And once you join us, there are several benefits that you can get from IIA. You have our professional training and development programs through webinars like what we are having today, various workshops that we organize, the various seminars. We also have conferences that all these are organized to enhance our capabilities and competencies. As a member as well, you enjoy exclusive discounts to all our events, either the Ghana event or AFIA event or global event. We also have networking opportunities to connect with your peers and also other industry leaders as much as possible. And there are several resources that you can also access on our website, as we have mentioned already. So please, we encourage you to also continue to participate in our programs, because we believe that as professionals, we can build our skills and expertise in that regard. Let me remind members that the IIA Ghana Council nominations is open now. So there's a call for nomination for members to serve on the IIA Ghana Council. So once the nomination is open, we encourage interested members to submit the expression of interest through the channels that have been specified in the notice, and you'll be considered as such. Now, our next program coming up is on the topic Tools for Auditing Cybersecurity for Internal Auditors, and the scheduled date is from June 11 to 13, and the venue is Sun Lodge Hotel in Tesano. So if you have received your invitation letter, please respond to it as appropriate. If you have any clarity, you can contact the Secretariat, and I'm sure the Chief Executive or any of the members, they will be glad to help you. Just a reminder of our upcoming conferences. The first one is the 11th AFIA conference, which had been communicated to you earlier. The date is just next week, from the 26th to 31st May 2025 in Kigali. most of us have registered and attending. So once that you have registered, please put yourself together and we all meet in Kigali. The conference is a 1-week conference. The first 2 days is a concurrent session. You'll be having IIA University and IIA Governance Forum. And then it will be followed, the 28th, 29th, and the 30th will be the conference itself. So whichever way, if you have registered for the university and then the conference, then it's for the 5 days, or the governance. So the university and the governance is being held concurrently. So we are encouraging you that once you have registered, please finalize your traveling formalities so that we all meet in Kigali to enjoy the conference. The conference brochure is still available. So if you need more details or any help that you need, you can contact the Secretariat and we'll be glad to help you do the same. The next conference after this one will be the international conference, which you already know. It will be held in Toronto, Canada in July, from July 14 to 16. So if you are interested to attend, please register now and then apply for your visa early. If you're having any challenges with your visa application and you are a member, the IIA Ghana Secretariat is ready to assist you as appropriate. So let's all register so far as you have the approval or you have the mandate to do so, and start your processes early so that you will not find much challenges in doing so. It has already been said that the International Audit Month is ongoing, and we are happy to inform you that IIA Ghana is raising the flags of Ghana high. There were awareness walk that were held on the 16th, that last week, in Tamale and Kumasi. Those who have been reading the dailies and then on social media, you could see a number of pictures showing how our members are celebrating the month. This awareness walk, fortunately, we had some of our executive members or council members joining our colleagues in Kumasi and Tamale for the walk, and they were all successful. In addition, in Ghana here at the Secretariat, few of the members also gathered to make IIA for us to be part of the program. In addition, the Secretariat has designed special T-shirts that are available for members to purchase, but it is based on your interest. So once you make your request early, they'll be ready to help you. And in your various institutions, if you want IIA Ghana to assist you, maybe organize a small webinar or a workshop for either your board members or senior executive, we will be glad to do so. The final notice I'm sharing with you is our CIA Challenge exam. We have been mentioning over and over about our CIA exam. Either you go through the normal route or the challenge exams. And members are now aware that ICAG members, Institute of Chartered Accountant Ghana members are now qualified to write the challenge exam. So very soon we are going to announce the date for the next session. Note that we have already have an executed MOU with IIA. So there have been a negotiation where we have extended the CIA Challenge exam opportunity still to all IIA members. So if you are interested and you have not registered, please take advantage and then register. If you have any clarity so far as the process to register or to sit for the exam is concerned, the Secretariat is available to assist you as much as possible. But we advise that you stay alert for further updates and details, either on our WhatsApp platform, your email, or through letters that we'll be sharing with our members. So once again, we thank you. So I'll say that please note that our meetings, our events, our conferences, and all the gatherings that we have, they provide a unique opportunity for us to acquire knowledge from diverse professionals. And then through that, we can also get latest updates so far as trends and best practices are concerned, like we had from Fiifi today. And through this sharing, we enhance on our skills and professional growth. So please, let's avail ourselves timely for our programs, and I'm sure you will never regret for being part of this family. So once again, thank you all for today and for joining us to share in this topic delivered by Fiifi. And God bless us all. Thank you very much. Elise, you can pick it from there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President, for the detailed feedback and announcement. So at this point in time, we will call on a member who is touched to give us the closing prayer. So there have been some questions in the chat area which have received some feedback or some responses. So can we get someone serve us with a word of prayer for us to close? Thank you. Any member who is touched? Anyone? Okay, so Samuel, I see your hand up. Is it for prayer?
Okay, it's actually for question, but I can also pray. That's fine.
All right, thank you.
Okay, shall we pray? Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity granted us the gift of life and bringing us together for this insightful session with our brother Fiifi. We pray that we will not be hearers only, but we'll put into practice whatever we have learned. We pray for the executives of IIA Ghana, and we pray that may their efforts also be magnified in whatever they do to take this profession even to the highest level on our land. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Samuel. If you still have a question, we could answer it subsequently, right? I'll reach out to the Secretariat or any of the members on the call. All right, thank you. So, colleagues, we've come to the end of today's session, and this webinar was brought to you by the Advocacy and Regulatory Compliance Committee in collaboration with the Certification and CPD Committee as well. And we have their chairpersons on this call as well as some of our members. So a big thank you to these committees who have made this webinar possible. Thank you. And I've been your moderator, Elizabeth Kwatinte, a co-chair of the Advocacy and Regulatory Compliance Committee. Enjoy the rest of your day, and let's continue to make an impact, even as we have 8 days within the month of internal audit month. Bye-bye for now.